Alright, I just wanted to make a quick video review of my Genelec 8040Bs. I've had these for many years now, and I'm not an audio professional. I don't do any of that type of work, but I bought them solely for listening to music as computer speakers. And so I guess you could call me an audiophile, or this will be just a layman's audiophile review of these Genelec 8040Bs. So I don't have any experience or any experience with audio mastering, or I'm not associated with any of the audiovisual industry at all. But I just wanted a good. I've always been looking for a good set of speakers that are pretty accurate for sound reproduction, and that's where I ended up at a Guitar Center. I was looking for basically a pair of studio monitors. I'd never heard of Genelec, and I actually this is the first pair of audio equipment I bought without knowing what they were or what the price was, and just literally purchasing them because of hearing them as a demo. So when I went into the Guitar Center, they were just set up, and I hooked up my cell phone as the audio source to these speakers. And as soon as I heard them, I went through a couple tracks. I told myself, I was like, I don't know what these are, how much they cost, but I'm going to buy them, which was probably not the best idea at the time, but I do not regret it whatsoever. I've had many speakers and audio components come and go, but these have stayed, and I enjoy them. And they're definitely reference speeds. There's certain specifications I want to go over about these that I think that are not readily advertised or maybe necessarily known. So these are actually, I believe, peerless drivers on the woofers, and the other piece of audio component that shares the peerless drivers would be my subwoofer, which is the SVS SB 2000. They have a peerless woofer in there, and I think they're fantastic. This also has a toroid transformer, so it's in like a donut shape, and that's supposed to help with hum or noise and interference in the audio signal. The other thing I think is interesting is this is a Class AB biamped speaker, so it's 90 watts for the tweeter and 90 watts for the woofer, and they're both Class AB amp. The Genelec ones are actually Class D amps, which is also interesting. I've never listened to the ones. But nonetheless, this is also made out of cast aluminum. So they're built like tanks, and they're pretty heavy. The other thing I liked about these when I compared them to uh, later on when I was looking at other studio monitors, and when I was so impressed with these, the self noise on these monitors is amongst the lowest of any other studio monitors I've listened to, because these are self powered, but their other studio monitors will have a hiss, and I find that very, very annoying because at my desk it's pretty quiet, and I do appreciate that these have very low self noise. But other than that, these Genelecs are fabulous, and I'll just go over some rough specifications on these. Like I said, these are the 8040Bs. They come in at 27 pounds a piece, which is very heavy, in spite of them having such a compact size. Their frequency response is 41 hertz to 25 kilohertz with -6 dB. And the other specifications, such as the dimensions. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Their weight is about 21 pounds each. Their other their frequent and I mentioned there's 90 watts AB on the tweeter and the woofer. The dimension is 365 millimeters by 237 millimeters by 223 millimeters, and that is roughly 14 and 3/8 inches, or by 9 and 3/8 inches by 8 and 3/4 inches. Nonetheless, I also think I never heard of Genelec. I browsed their website, and I've also found some music artists that I enjoy listening to now. One example is Nightwish, and I think after I purchased these and I was so impressed by them, I did some reading on them online, and apparently these, rightfully so, have legendary status and has become somewhat of an industry standard. Every recording studio that pretty much will probably have a pair of these, which gives me some reassurance that when I'm listening to music or I want a reference set of speakers to listen to the music as it was probably intended to be delivered to the audience, it doesn't get closer to what the artist had intended than these speakers. I know DJ Tiesto uses a pair of these, and many more artists that probably use a pair of these. So I find these awesome. So another way I use them is I reference my audio equipment when I buy new speakers, or if I want to see if this if my speakers or my audio components are sounding like they're probably supposed to. I will compare the same track coming through these, and I pretty much use these as a benchmark or a meter stick to judge my other audio components by. And of every audio component that's come and gone, these have been the best sounding and the most accurate out of everything. I guess that's what they're designed to do. And to the extent where anything that comes too close to the price of these as a pair, which I believe it comes about to $2,300 or $2,400 a pair, which is very expensive. But anytime anything comes close to that, I probably would just go ahead and buy these. If I'm ever buying audio equipment that's coming, or speakers that are teetering on that 2000 level for a pair of speakers, I mean, because including the amp, because these are self-amplified, I would just get these. And so it's kind of nice because it sets a ceiling to how much I will spend on, quote, audiophile component or audiophile gear. And if I ever hit it, I've limited myself to amp and speakers. I won't spend more than 2,000, because then I'd much rather just have another pair of these wherever I plan to listen to music. So in one way, that's possibly saved me money, and it's also helped me reference other gear. So there you have it. These Genelec die-cast aluminum, built like tanks, 20 pounds a piece. Pair it with this RME ADI DAC, ADI2 DAC FS, and maybe I'll do a video on that later. And the reason I have this up here is so I can have multiple different inputs to reference on these pair of Genelecs, and I find that really a fun pair of speakers. And like I said, I'm no expert, just someone who likes to listen to music.